What is going on, live streamers? Today we are going to be talking about what to do when your live stream is complete, because we've got the process down, like, hey, what do we do when we go live? But I'm going to share with you what you need to do when your live stream is complete so that you can maximize the reach of your live streams. Now, what we're going to be talking about today is specific, very specific to YouTube. So if you're live streaming to YouTube, you want to stick around for the information shared in this particular live stream because it can help you get more views on your content. But first, I do have to drop a disclaimer and say that when it comes to getting more views on YouTube, the core part of it is that people respond positively to your content. Some of what we're going to be talking about today is going to help that happen. However, you have to make sure that the actual content that you're putting out is also, just good quality content, adds value to the people that are interacting with it and so on, so that you can fully take advantage of what it is that we're going to be talking about today. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So the very first thing that you want to make sure that you do when your live stream is complete is a lot of people, once the stream is done, they shut everything down and they walk away. And by doing that, they're missing a huge opportunity. And the reason they're missing a huge opportunity is because usually when we live stream, maybe we don't put in the effort that maybe we should into our title. Maybe we're thinking about it more of a, how do I pull people into my video while I'm live, or when I schedule this, how do I make it enticing while I'm live so I can have people joining my live stream? But once your stream is complete, you still want that same activity to happen. So because of that, the very first thing that you want to make sure that you do is double check your title and thumbnail. And the reason that you want to do that is because, like in this stream, for example, maybe I leave the Q&A at the end, or maybe it would be best if I didn't, right? Because what we're going to be taking you through here is just step by step. Like, these are very specific things that you want to do. And that's the actual real core of the content, even though we're going to have a Q&A later. So if we're going to fully optimize this once the stream is complete, then I would take that Q&A part off, because it wouldn't add, it doesn't really add much to somebody on the replay if you are having a Q&A session. So the very first thing, of course, like I mentioned, is you want to make sure that you do go in and just double check your thumbnail and title to make sure that they are good for the replay once your stream is available still on the platform. So what you want to think about is this. The very first thing is, when it comes to your thumbnail, you want to make sure that the thumbnails that you are making are easily identifiable to the target audience that you're trying to reach. And what I mean by that is, when you are putting your thumbnails together, a lot of content creators will optimize everything around their show name, or live stream, as I should say. We'll optimize it around our show name or around us, with our imagery and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, we got to make sure that we are resonating with the viewers that we're actually trying to reach. So what I want you to do when you're putting your thumbnails together is just start imagining, okay, if somebody were to land on the YouTube homepage, or if they were sitting there scrolling through on their mobile device and my thumbnail were to show up in front of them, what about my thumbnail and or title would help that particular viewer identify that my content is about something that they might be interested in, right? That's step one of pulling attention into your thumbnails. Next, of course, you want to make sure when it comes to your thumbnails that you keep them as simple as you possibly can. The more you clutter them up with things that are attention grabbing, the more people will overlook them. So what I mean by that is, make sure that when you are making your thumbnails, that you have very clear points of focus in your thumbnails. In some cases that can be you, in some cases that can be the text, in some cases that can be like an object. So say, for example, you were doing a live stream and you're reviewing this mouse or something like that, then in that case the mouse is actually the subject of your live stream, so you might want to focus on the mouse in that particular scenario. So you just want to make sure that you're focusing on the right things, and that you don't have too many things in your thumbnail that can be pulling focus. Now, how you can adjust for that focus is by your color choices and by how you size things. So for example, if you have one thing that you want to have a little bit more focus, you'll typically make that one a little bit bigger so that it's more prominent in the frame. In addition to that, the layout is also really important in terms of where people focus when it comes to your thumbnails. Now, when it comes to your titles, in order to get more clicks on your titles, you want to make sure that your titles are also optimized properly. So again, If you're doing them for a live stream, you might say something fun that your community would respond to, maybe a little catchphrase or something that you do, with some information attached to it. Maybe you might even say live afterwards, or in some cases, people put emojis in the title and stuff like that. You want to go through and you want to take all of that stuff out so that on the replay, it doesn't look from the outside like somebody missed a live stream experience, right? You want them to look at it from the perspective of the value that they are going to get, not necessarily something that they missed because there's still all this live stuff all over it, right? So when it comes to your title, you want to make sure that you are focusing the thing that the viewer would be most likely to be either compelled by or help them grab their attention as close to the front of your title as possible. Best practice for this is you want to make sure that you put that information within the first 52 characters of your title so that as people are seeing it, they can quickly get the information that they want, but more importantly, because YouTube cuts titles off in a bunch of different features on the platform. So if you put it in front of the first 52 characters, most places on YouTube, you're okay if you're around 60 characters, but just to make sure you're fully optimized, make sure that the most important part is within that 52 character limit, just to be on the safe side so that somebody can make the right decision to come and click and watch your content when they see it, in suggested videos, for example, where titles do commonly get cut off. So the next thing that you want to make sure that you do is if you have shout out sessions or anything that doesn't add value to the viewer that would be watching it as a video on demand once the stream is complete, then you want to go into the YouTube editor and you want to cut off that beginning part where you do that, or you want to trim down the end a little bit. Let's say you get a little bit too talky at the end or something like that, and you didn't really get the opportunity to properly hand off to an additional video or something like that. You want to trim down so you can make sure that you do have the right space for that. But I do want to give you a warning. When it comes to the trimming of your live stream, once it's complete, if you do that, you will lose the live chat inside of YouTube. So I just want you to know that. And really quick, for everybody that's hanging out in the stream right now, who here does not know where you would edit the live stream? Who does not know where that is? Because if you don't know, I can tell you right here, or I can actually show you right here if you do not know exactly where that is, just because I want to make sure that you understand that one before we move along. And the reason for that is because when people are getting started with live streams and they're doing shout out sessions, or in some cases, let's say there's these big long pauses where you're just kind of waiting for everything to get going, you're waiting for some people to show up, whatever it is, the replay viewer isn't going to sit through that. So because of that, you want to make sure that you're cutting it off so that as soon as they come in on the replay, your stream is starting right where it would start if somebody were to have made a video. That's the idea. So we've got let us know, we've got I don't know, I think we know where it is, but it would be great to see it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just add this to the stream here, and what we're going to do is I'm just going to take you into that area really quick and show you if I can get my mouse on the right screen. There we go. So the place that you find this is once you go into your actual channel content and then you click on the live stream itself, and this is inside your YouTube Creator Studio, so if you have a YouTube channel, this is where you find this. But basically, once you're inside of the content, then all you do is you come down to the navigation here, and just for perspective on where this is in case you're brand new, this is where you add the title to your live stream. This is where you add the description to your live stream. Even if you're streaming with Streamyard, you still want to go into YouTube and do these sorts of things after your stream to fully optimize it, because there's also some additional things in here that we're going to be going over here in a few minutes. So if you're not familiar with that already, make sure you stick around for that part because it's really important. But basically over here in this left navigation, you're going to see this editor option. If you click into that, just let it load here for a second. Then what you're going to see is you're going to see this area down here. Now this area down here is where you can actually go in and you can start trimming those areas out. What you want to look for is you want to look for just blank spots either at the beginning or, if you talked a little bit longer than you should have at the end, to where, let's say if you recommended they go and watch another video, which is a good best practice, and you should be doing this at the end of your streams if you're using them to grow your channel, then what you do is you make sure that after you do that handoff, if you continue talking for a while, just go ahead and cut it off so that you can make sure that right when you say go watch this, there's something there for people to go watch and you don't have like an awkward moment there. But basically all you have to do here is hit trim and cut, and then it's pretty self-explanatory when you're putting it all together on exactly how you do that. And just as a quick side tip for you, another thing that I want to bring to your attention really quick for this area in particular is, let's say that while you're live streaming, and again, this is just like a little side tip, not part of the content today, but it's important for you to know just in case you need it. Let's say that you're live streaming and you have happen to show like a phone number on screen that you didn't want to show, or you showed like you're screen sharing like I am right now, and you happen to show something that you didn't want people to see, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I showed that on screen. What can I do? Inside of YouTube, instead of you having to completely lose that stream, what you can do is you can actually go into this editor and you can click on this blur feature right here, and then you can blur out whatever it is that you need to blur out without having to lose the content, which is a huge advantage for this particular feature. But that's where you actually go in there and you trim that off. Now, in addition to that, here I'm actually going to go back in here for some other stuff here later. But in addition to that, if I go ahead and take this down here, the next thing that you want to make sure that you do is on YouTube, we have these additional features at our disposal that a lot of content creators don't know it. If you're not somebody that's watching videos on how to like grow on YouTube and stuff like that, then this feature in a lot of cases can go completely unnoticed. But what you want to do is on every single YouTube channel, and I'm going to go to my channel here really quick so I can open up a video to show you. So on every single YouTube channel, one of the things that you are going to see is once you go down into the comment section, the thing that you're going to see down here, and I keep getting my mouse in the wrong browser. Come on, there we go. Okay. So the next thing you want to do is you want to do what's called pin a comment. Now, when you pin a comment, basically all you have to do is you just write out the comment, right? And then once you write out that comment, you can say, I have this one pinned right here from this live stream that I did here. All you have to do is click on this 3-dot menu over here on the right-hand side, and then when you come down, mine currently says unpin in order to unpin that, but let's say that this one was my comment or just another one that I wanted to pin, then I can come here and then I click on pin, and what's going to happen is it's going to lock my comment up here to the very top of the top comment section. Now, where this is helpful is when you do this, if you start getting a decent amount of views on your live stream, whatever it is that you recommend there, as long as it's relevant to the viewer and what it is that they're coming into your content for, as long as it's relevant to them, they are going to, like, they're going to click on it. So what you want to do is you actually want to pin that comment, but you also want to, sell it a little bit, or at least give them some information so they can make the choice on it. Just like in this example, I say, watch next to get your first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And the reason that I used that specific video, just for context, so you know, is right here, this particular news segment was targeting new YouTube content creators. Or I'm sorry, this particular video, was targeting new content creators. So because of that, I recommended a video that would be extremely relevant to new content creators based on what it is that they want. That's the idea. So let's see here. So next up that we are talking about on our list today, we've got... You also want to make sure that when you are finished with your live stream, and this is especially important if you are using Streamyard by itself. If you're doing everything within Streamyard and then just kind of letting it ride after your stream, this next one is also really important. So on YouTube, you have these options. I'm actually not going to see it right here on this just because this particular, let me get this open really quick. Yeah, because I've already got it set, or I already set it here before the stream. But anyway, what you want to do is you want to come in and you just want to make sure that if it does not include a paid promotion, that you do have this marked, that it does not include a paid promotion, so that YouTube doesn't default that on for any reason. You also want to, when you come into this particular area, you also want to just double check a handful of things. The very first is I turn off automatic places, and that actually should have been off. I'm going to save that one right now. Glad that we caught that one here in real time. But in addition to that, you do want to have it to where they will put automatic chapters, as long as automatic chapters are a good fit for the type of content that you make. So what that means is if you're doing educational type content, you're doing content where you're breaking things down in a certain way, then in that case, you want to make sure that you have that selected, because then it's going to, their system is going to add chapters if you don't add chapters to that video. And the reason that you want that, or that live stream replay, and the reason that you want that is because chapters, and we're going to talk about this here in just a minute as well, But with chapters, they can also help you when it comes to search discovery on YouTube, Google, and all the textual search engines as well. So you want to make sure that you're either adding them manually or that you click this box to allow YouTube to go ahead and make them as long as it's a good fit for your particular type of content. But the next thing that we're going to talk about here is you do also want to go in and add your video to a playlist. So when it comes to YouTube, playlists are another way that you can, get views on YouTube. Playlists do get shown to people in YouTube search as an example. They get recommended next to other content. So when you are adding your videos to a playlist, one, it helps you just kind of categorize your content or your live streams in a way to where people can easily find it. You can also add those playlists as a section to your YouTube homepage, which also makes it easy for people to find the content that they want from you. So you do want to make sure that you are going in and you're adding your live stream to a playlist as well. And then you also, like I was going to say that we're going to talk about, is you also want to make sure that you are adding chapters. The reason that you add chapters to the videos, as long as they are relevant, is because one, it can help you when it comes to discovery, or in other words, YouTube showing your content to people, Google showing your content to people when they're looking for it, because those chapters, every chapter that you make, as long as you optimize it for search, is a discovery mechanism that can be shown on Google, Bing, YouTube even, to where people can enter your content from that chapter. So the way to think about it is look at each individual chapter like it's its own little video or its own little part of the video, and YouTube and Google and the other textual search engines can actually make them show up that way. So because of that, you want to make sure that you are using that that particular feature as well when it comes to the chapters. And just as a heads up, I know that when there was the integration with TubeSpanner and Streamyard, where, with the Upload Assistant or Stream Assistant, when it's being used over there, one of the additional features for TubeSpanner, and you can find out more about this at tubespanner.com without spending a bunch of time on it, but one of the additional things that you can find inside of TubeSpanner is they actually have a note-taking option, and within that note-taking option, you can also use it to add chapters to your live stream. So let's say you have a live stream like I do, my 3-hour live stream where it's really long and you're like, man, it's just gonna take me forever to sit here and go through these chapters. What you can do is you can actually open up that notepad and you can start going through your live stream just in little parts here and there and start chaptering it, as you have the time to do it. And when you go back into that live stream, it's gonna hold those chapters there, or all the information that you've previously put, and then you can continue to add to it if you want. And then you can download those and just insert them into your live stream description, and then you'll have chapters for your live streams. So you definitely want to use that if you are a TubeSpanner user. If you're not, then you can find out more about that over at tubespanner.com. But the next thing that we have on the list is if you are in the YouTube Partner Program, meaning you've met the requirements of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time on your YouTube channel, then in that case, once your stream is complete, you want to go back in and you want to confirm that your ads are on. And the reason that this is important is this one isn't necessarily going to help you get more views, but it's going to help you get more money. So the reason you want to make sure that your ads are on, and you want to make sure that you are controlling the ads for your live stream is because what can happen is if you have a long live stream, YouTube can by default just go ahead and start showing an ad at the end of your live stream, or maybe they're going to do an insert, a mid-roll ad somewhere in your live stream that will interrupt the viewer experience in some cases if they're not a premium user. So because of that, you want to make sure that they're on, so you're not missing out on the opportunity for that income. But in addition to that, you do want to make sure that your ads are in the right place if you are going to include them in the middle of your videos, or just turn off the option to where you don't have to worry about that. And I'll show you this really quick, just for those of you that are not in the partner program, so you can kind of know what to expect once you get there. But basically how this works is you just go down here into the monetization settings, and then you make sure that your ads are turned on, but then you have the option to turn on the overlay ads. You have the option to turn on sponsored cars, skippable video ads, and non-skippable ads. Just for some context, non-skippable video ads and skippable video ads is where you're going to make the most money. So because of that, you want to make sure that you at least have skippable video ads on. With the sponsored cards, I personally don't use those because with the sponsored cards, I want full control of when people might be leaving my video, and I just don't like the card because that's more of a suggestion of another video or something like that. So I just don't like using those for ads. But then the next thing is right down here in this area, if your live stream is longer than 8 minutes, then you're going to have the option to decide where ads show up on the video. So you can decide right here if it's a mid-roll, or if you have have it coming on the post roll. This particular stream is only 5 minutes long. It's a new segment that I do every Friday. So if you're into YouTube, make sure that you check that out. It's on my channel. I'll get a link to that down in the description. But the idea is to come in here after the fact and just make sure everything is set up properly, because in some cases, if you just go ahead and schedule your live stream inside of Streamyard, it may or may not turn your monetization settings on. So you want to check this in reality. You want to check this before your stream even starts, but at the very least, to be able to fully maximize your opportunity from your replay, you want to make sure that you do have those turned on as well. So next up on our list here is, of course, you want to make sure that you add in screens as well. So for this, really quick, do you know what your in screens are? Because I'm not sure, the experience that you have. I want to make sure that I'm giving you information that you can, use right now, at the next live stream that you do, or that you can go ahead and add this to previous live streams. So do you know what in screens are? If you don't, I want to show you this really quick, and I just want to explain it a little bit so that I can just make sure that you are fully taking advantage of what these can do. We're actually going to talk about in screens, and we're going to talk about YouTube cards. So just give me some feedback really quick. Let me know if this is something that you do or do not know about. And while we're waiting for that to come in, I'm just going to go ahead and show this to you really quick, just to be on the safe side. So for those of you, and this is for the replay, right? But for those of you that do not know where the in screens are, the in screens, once you are in this video details page, you come over to this side of the screen. And then right here, you have the option to add an in screen. Now, right here in this particular one, I have a playlist that I added. You can see that right here. And I even leave a little place right here at the end of the video for that to happen. So during the live stream, what I do is I have graphics that actually show up on the screen. But then as soon as that is finished, then I make it blank. And the reason I make it blank is so that I can put this element right here that will drive people into a playlist so that they can, go and watch more videos that are relevant to, wanting to stay up to date with features and whatnot. So by using these in screens, just as a heads up, if I click on this video element here, or this element option here, you can add playlists, subscribe buttons, links to channels. You can add a direct link if you're in the partner program to your website, whatever. But the way that you really want to use this is linking to additional videos. And the reason that you want to link to additional videos is because if you have these things set up on all your videos, then you're going to end up driving, especially, when you have some videos do better than others, or some live streams or live stream replays do better than others, you're going to end up driving a lot of traffic over time through your in screen. So you want to make sure if you're not using these, that you do use them, because they're clickable videos at the end of your video, that the people that were engaged enough to make it all the way to the end of your replay, they're going to be able to click into that to go and watch more content. So if you do not have these set up on your past live streams that are currently public, go in and do this immediately. If you have people completing your streams on the replay. If nobody's completing your streams on the replay, it's not that big of a deal. But if you do have people completing your streams on the replay, then you're missing a huge opportunity here. So make sure that you go in and put those in. Same exact thing goes with YouTube cards. So with YouTube cards, it's right underneath this in screen area. And with the YouTube cards, similar thing to where you just go in, you tell it if you want to link to a video, a playlist, or a channel. If you're doing like a collaboration, you have somebody that was participating with you in your live stream as an example, then you can link directly to their YouTube channel here, or to other, content if you wish. So the way that you use this is, let's say, after the stream is complete, the way that you use this is, let's say that during the live stream, you were talking about something and you mentioned that you have a video or another stream that you did about that particular topic. This is where the cards come in really handy, because then in that moment, you can come in, you can add a card to the screen, and then it's going to show up when you mention, I've got this other video. And then what happens is, if people go and they click on that, then they're going to end up in that other piece of content, and then they get to enjoy that content that they actually clicked on to go and watch. So because of that, you want to make sure that you are using those as well. Next, if you are, again, this is a tube spanner one, but you can do this manually if you want to as well. But once your stream is complete, you've changed your thumbnail, you've updated your title, you've got your description updated as well. You've got everything optimized with your end screen. You got all the garbage cut out and all of that. YouTube has finished its processing, which in some cases can take a while. The next thing you want to do is you want to start letting people know about it. So you want to make sure that you're getting out on Twitter. If you have a Facebook group, make sure that you get it in there. Again, Tube Spanner can help you with this. this. I would show you that right now, but I know they're actually doing an update literally as we're having this conversation right now. So I'm not going to show you, but it's like a social sharing thing to where you can just select your live stream directly from inside of YouTube without even having to leave the platform. And then you can jump, not jump, but you can just share things directly out to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever it is that you share wherever you share your content. But then the next thing that you want to make sure that you do is you want to make sure that you do repurpose your content. And the reason for that is live streams, there's tons of information that you share in your live streams. In some cases, it can be information. In some cases, it can be you doing something epic if you're playing a game or you have that like special moment in the game where you just do something really cool and you want to highlight it. If you're sharing informational type content or training people on anything, you can even export your audio. You can do this directly inside of Streamyard. You can export your audio or download your audio, and you can upload that as a podcast and as a standalone podcast. And here's the funny thing is in some cases, you might find that, your people respond better to some of your podcasts than they do your actual live streams just by them showing up in, Google search or whatever it happens to be. You might end up getting a decent amount of traffic to them, whereas on YouTube, maybe you don't get as much. So this type of thing can happen as well. So when you start trying to repurpose your content, you want to make sure that you are considering that type of thing. So have a podcast available of the long form. And then if you have the ability to, or the time, or if you have somebody else that can do it for you or somebody you can hire, cutting out some clips of your live stream, either for the main YouTube channel or for another YouTube channel. So you can also grow that one and use those clips as short form discovery mechanisms, so to speak, so that if somebody sees an hour-long live stream, that's a pretty big commitment, right? You're asking somebody for an hour of their time if they've never experienced your content before. But if you put up a 5-minute piece of content, that's a little tiny itty-bitty little teensy-weensy commitment, and people are likely to click on those, and that's a great way to introduce yourself to people. In addition to that, with YouTube Shorts right now, there's a big thing going on with YouTube Shorts where YouTube just did a major algorithm update, game-changing algorithm update to where if you upload, let's say you upload YouTube Shorts and it's a little snippet of what's going on in your live stream, then you can, if somebody watches that in the short shelf and they enjoy it, then because of this algorithm change, YouTube is likely to recommend them your long form content when they're on the long form side of YouTube. So that's a huge win. In addition to that, if you're like, hey, I don't have time to do all this repurposing stuff that you're talking about. I'm like super busy. I'm like running my business or I'm running my YouTube channel. I've got like a life to live and I don't have time to do all that. Another game-changing feature that YouTube put out is to where they're letting you directly sample content out without you having to edit anything or do anything else. So here's how this works. So basically, with YouTube Shorts, what you can do is you can go in and you can just open up your live stream inside of your YouTube app. And then you click on, you're going to see a little option underneath your video that you're watching that says create. If you click on that, it'll actually let you sample. You'll have, some options there, but it'll let you sample a 60-second clip from your long form content, up to 60 seconds. And then all you have to do is tell it, I want it to sample from here to here. And then you put in a title. And then if you want to add a description, you can, and then you hit save. And then you can, of course, schedule those if you want so they go out on a regular basis, or you can just publish it right there in the moment without having to edit anything or do anything else. And the win for you here is that YouTube has now built a bridge between the short form content and the long form content directly to where if somebody watches your YouTube short, then there's going to be a link down in the bottom left-hand side of that short that's going to show them where they need to go. They can actually click on it and they can go right into the long-form content as well. So with these features specifically, this is why I saved them at the end to make sure that, the people that were coming in here, so I could make sure that people hear this. But basically using these particular features by themselves with the YouTube Shorts, these are a fantastic way to get you in front of new people, because with YouTube Shorts, they are designed to get in front of new people. That's what their purpose is. So this is a great way to push you into people that haven't experienced you before. And in addition to that, another thing that I want to put a big spotlight on here is when you are uploading long form content or live streams, anything where somebody's got to click on it, then they have to make the choice to click on it. So if you make great content, let's say you're an awesome live streamer and you're just charismatic or whatever it is that you're doing, people are just really digging it, but you're not getting a lot of people clicking to actually get that experience, and that's working against you. Well, with this shorts option, all somebody has to do is swipe up. They don't have to make the choice. YouTube's going to put it right in front of them. And then based on how people respond to that clip, then that short can do awesome, or it can, quickly die off as well. But you avoid the extra skill that you got to have of having to learn how to get people to click. Now, keep in mind, with the sampling, they have that straight path into the long form content. But in the previous thing that I mentioned, where if they interact with your shorts content, then YouTube is likely to show them your long form content. When that happens, you still have to get them to click. So that is why updating your thumbnails, titles, like we talked about at the beginning of this stream, is super important, so that as you're taking advantage of these new opportunities on YouTube, you can make sure that you have everything fully optimized in order to be able to, capitalize on the opportunity that you have here in order to, get more views through all this stuff that they're putting out. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, in addition to that, I mentioned this at the beginning, but I have to put a spotlight on this as well. Just remember that when it comes to all of this stuff, the thing that is the most important is people have to respond to what it is that you're doing. So if you do put out, and I don't believe anybody here is putting out low quality content, but if you're watching this on the replay and you know what you're doing, we all do. So like if you're putting out content where you're like, this isn't, my best stuff, then in that particular case, just be, prepared for, not getting the best results likely. But if you're like, hey, I'm doing everything I can to, to one, take advantage of all these features on the platform, two, to like really serve the audience that I'm trying to get in front of, then in that case, you'll do awesome. So now we're going to move into the Q&A portion of this live stream. And if you have any questions, or I should say, if you have any questions, make sure that you go ahead and drop them in here right now. And I will answer questions here just for a little bit, if anybody has any. I'm not sure if anybody has any additional questions on what we talked about. But while I'm waiting for those to come in, for those of you that just joined the stream, what we're talking about, or some of the things that we went over today, is making sure that you update your thumbnail if necessary, and it usually is. If you need to trim the beginning or end of the live stream, do it if it makes for a tighter experience, because remember, on the replay, when somebody clicks on a thumbnail or a title, as soon as they do that, they're expecting content, right? So make sure that you're just not sitting there lollygagging or like whatever the thing is, right? Make sure that they just get content right out of the gate. You can do this in two ways. You can do it by cutting off any of the stuff that's not important at the end, or you can do it by just going live and just coming right into it, right? Like not spending that time, chatting and welcoming people to the stream and all that, and getting right into it. So that hurts you in one way, which is there's going to be some people that won't get that information right at the very beginning. However, for the replay, it will end up working wonders for you. But also pinning a comment. If you schedule your streams, log in and make sure that they are marked for not sponsored. And of course, as you're scheduling, make sure that they are not for kids as well, because that's another thing for YouTube. In addition to that, make sure you're adding them into playlists. Add chapters to your videos, because this helps on the discovery side as well. If you're in the partner program, make sure you go in and just double check your monetization options like we showed here earlier in the stream. If you're watching, or if you're in live now, you can check that part on the replay. Use end screens and cards in your videos. I've got demos for that as well. And let people know that they missed it by sharing it out on Twitter, sharing it out on Facebook group, LinkedIn, and so on. And then of course, repurpose. So if you have a question, make sure you put a Q in front of the question. We've already got some of those right here, so we're off to the races. But if you do have a question, make sure you put a Q in front of it so that I know that it is for me and not a side conversation that's happening in the chat. So the Creator Classroom says, will the ads turned on interrupt the actual live stream or just on the replay? So that if you have ads turned on before you go live, then as people are coming in, some people will see those ads. So premium users won't, but some people will see those ads. So when it comes to the ads that show up on your YouTube channel and the people that see them, if you go into your YouTube analytics, you can see your monetized playbacks and your non-monetized playbacks. So that tells you that not every person that hits a piece of content on YouTube gets an ad for it. So there's also something called ad tolerance. So within YouTube's system and within the ad system as well, they are basically seeing how that particular user reacts to ads and things like that. And they're also making sure to not, overwhelm people with ads so that they don't, just be like, hey, I'm not using YouTube anymore because all they're doing is show me ads all the time. But as part of that, though, it's also important to know that ads are pretty normalized here as well. So if you're not a premium user, then in that case, you're used to seeing ads anyway. So not that big of a deal. But if you set it up, then as people are coming into your stream, then some of those people will see an ad. You can also directly trigger ads, and some of you might know this, might not know this yet. Some of you that are live streaming to YouTube, you can directly trigger an ad right within your YouTube studio. So what you want to do when you're live streaming, this is another little side tip here, is even if you schedule everything with Streamyard and you're doing your chat in Streamyard and like you're just running the whole show in Streamyard, still, if you want to serve those ads, still make sure that you have the live stream backend open inside of YouTube, and they'll give you a prompt and they'll say, now is a good time to show an ad. And then you can just click a button and then it'll show an ad for the people that through that ad tolerance, and if they're a premium user or not, the people that YouTube deems at that moment that should see that ad, those are the people that are going to see the ad. So let's see here. So I do firearm related topics, and YouTube doesn't really like to promote. So it's not necessarily that YouTube doesn't like to promote them. It's just that some of that type of content ends up in restricted mode because, it's put basically behind an age gate of sorts. So it's an age gate. It's also a sensitivity gate. So because of that, it's not necessarily that YouTube doesn't like you to make that content. It's more that some people don't like to interact with that content, and some companies don't want to advertise near that content. So because of that, it ends up putting you in what's called restricted mode. You can see the content of yours that's restricted by opening up your YouTube app, or you can do this on your computer too. But if you go into your settings and you turn on restricted mode, and then you go to your videos page, you're going to see exactly what is and is not hidden. Make sure you look at this from a different account, not the account that you're actually looking into, and you'll see exactly the content that's hidden in restricted mode. But the next thing to remember is a lot of people that do make this type of content, they by default assume that YouTube isn't showing the content because it's about that particular subject. But don't get me wrong, like that type of content is, a sensitive thing here on YouTube. But in some types of, like that type of content, some types of political content, stuff like that, what happens is people will just assume that YouTube is like censoring their content or whatever. But in reality, they're just not able to get people to click on what it is that they're doing. And you can see that reflected in your click-through rate. In other cases, they might be able to get people to click, but once people do click, they're not sticking around in the video. You're able to see this through your audience retention reports, so that you can go in and start uncovering like, hey, is this a me problem in terms of like I need to do better, or is this a YouTube problem to where they're just restricting my content in some way. But usually the only way that they restrict it is through the actual restricted mode. So if you go, like I mentioned before, and look at your channel in restricted mode, then you'll be able to see the videos that are that you're going to have to deal with that with. Next up, we've got, and this one's from Tamara Simmons, real estate mentor, says, I'm going to take that down just for a second here, says, do you suggest trimming out the countdown and the intro? Without question. So when it comes to the countdown, one thing that I just want you to think about is, okay, let's say that let's say you clicked into this on the replay, and there's like a 10-minute countdown. Well, if you are not directly, fully engaged in your computer, your phone, or your TV is a worst case scenario because it's a little bit more difficult there, then in that case, you might be like, I'm not going to wait 10 minutes for this. I'm going to click out. Other users are going to be like, okay, let me kind of skip around and find what it is if it's somebody that's already involved in the content. But the thing is, if you're trying to grow the channel, then in that particular case, you want to think about people that won't sit through that countdown because they're not familiar with your content yet, right? So what you want to do is, if you have any type of countdown, you want to make sure that you cut that off. Now, one thing that I recommend, if you are going to be, cutting off like intros and little shout out sessions and countdowns and things like that, I recommend that you make a verbal cut point in your live stream. So what that looks like is this, and you can do it in a way where the audience doesn't even notice, but you can cut it out so that it makes for a more smooth replay. So what you do is structurally, and I've got videos on the Streamyard YouTube channel showing you how to do this. But structurally, what you want to do is you want to be intentional about all the things that you do before your cut point. So for example, that might be your countdown timer to give people time to come into your stream. That might be where you shout out, welcome people to the stream, ask them where they're from, the deal. But you go through that, particular process. And then for the cut point, what you say is you say, you just take a quick pause, essentially. And then you say, for those that are just joining, pause just for a moment, right? Because this is what you're going to look for, and you're going to give yourself just a little bit of space here. So when you're cutting it in the YouTube editor, you just make sure you have enough room. But for those of you that are just joining us, today we're talking about things that you can do to blah, 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 right? So what you do there is with that little pause is all of that stuff that you front loaded at that pause point, then you cut that, right? You cut it right there. And then when somebody comes in on the replay after you do that, what they're going to get is, today we're talking about X, Y, Z, and then you start getting into the actual content without all that stuff in there, right? So by doing that, it just allows you to make a more tighter piece of content for the replay, plus leverage the full live experience in terms of, that interaction and everything like that as well. Hopefully that made sense. Next up, we've got Johnny Bean. Johnny Bean says, hey, Nick, is the clip button what I should use to create a short clip from a stream? Yeah, so what it is, here, I'll just show you really quick. Let me go to one of my videos here really quick, and I'll just hold this up to the camera so you can see it. So what you do is you go into any video, and in this case, let me find one just to make sure I haven't done it already, because I'm playing with these on another channel. So let's see here. So let's say that we go into this one, which is like Why We Yawn. What you're going to see is you're going to see an option that says create. It doesn't say clip, it says create. So let me make sure this is turned down just so it doesn't start playing. There we go. So what you're going to see is you're going to see right over here, you're going to see, I'm sorry, it's over here by my thumb. You're going to see a little option that says create. Once you click on create, then you're going to see this little area right up here at the very top. It says edit into a short. So when you click on that, then it's going to take you into this interface. And initially it's set to 15 seconds. So all you have to do is in the top right-hand corner is you click on 15. It's going to change it to 60. And then there you can edit this down into an under 60-second clip. Now you can't actually edit it, but you can, say I went from here to here of this to end up being a short. And then you click next, and then you add a title, and then you are good to go. You can add music, that kind of stuff in there as well. Next up on our list here, this is from Crazy Kid 949, says, you have that description box template that I downloaded from one of your videos for the rest of the attendance. I don't have it handy right now, but if you just hop on Google or you hop on YouTube and you look for Nick Nimmin description template, you will find it there. Next up, we've got... oops, wrong one here. We've got, and this is from The Huddle with Walter Strong. Thanks for the question. Says, Nick, what would cause me to get a large proportion of replay views from live streams from foreign countries like India and Indonesia? What can happen, especially, on YouTube, is when you're reaching a global audience, in some cases, people will respond really well to your content in some of those places. And when that happens, that means people are sharing it in their social accounts over there. That means people are, letting their friends know about it or whatever. And in some cases, if all of that's not happening, those people are just clicking on it more and they're watching it for a longer period of time. And that causes YouTube to show it to more of those people, because how the whole system works is basically the entirety of YouTube, their recommendation systems at least, how they work is once they identify the people that are enjoying a piece of content, then they find other users on the platform who are using YouTube in a similar way and enjoying similar content, and then they recommend it to them. And then based on how they respond, then they'll keep showing it to more people, or they won't based on how they respond. So the entire system, this is why it's so great to use for business too, is because when you are tapping into YouTube, once you find that, audience that responds to what it is that you're doing, and if you're, using it for business, then in that case, that would be your ideal customer. Then in that particular case, YouTube essentially goes out and finds more of your customers for you, which is great. But in terms of, your, where your audience is coming from, it's going to be just the people that respond to it. That doesn't mean you're still not going to get views and engagement and everything else from other countries. It just means that if you are getting traffic from those particular countries or any particular country, it just means that's where you're getting a good response. The Creator Classroom says, is there a more efficient way to do timestamps other than watching the live stream and making notes from it? So if you have somebody that while they are watching the live streams, they can add chapters to it, then that can be a great way to do it. Setting YouTube to auto chapter is another way to do it, but keep in mind, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So it's just kind of like you're just kind of taking a shot and hoping they do. But if you go through and you do it yourself, then you can ensure that it's done. One tip for you is if you are watching your videos to add chapters to them, you can just go down into the player itself and watch it at double speed or 1.5 speed in order to speed up the process a little bit for yourself. Next up on our list here, we've got, can we take a past upload, and set it up for monetization today? If you are in the partner program, yes. Once you're in the partner program, then your videos are monetized. You can go back and you can, turn your ads on the videos that you have. Is there a way to get YouTube to stop giving me limited ads? So if you are being limited on the ads that you can add to your channel, you would already be in the partner program. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what would be causing you to get limited ads in the first place, outside of if you were. If you're putting out like sensitive content, like if you're putting out sensitive content, then you'll get like the little yellow icon, and that little yellow icon is where they're, where they're kind of limiting your ads. So in that particular case, then if you're putting out like controversial content, or if you're using a lot of profanity in the beginning of your content, that can also cause that sort of thing. Let's see here, what else? Talking about topics like the firearm person that was in here earlier, those types of things can cause that. Next up, we've got, I got 4 impressions on a short. Is it time to make a new channel? No, definitely not. It's time to make another short, right? It's time to make another short, and you got to keep plugging away. So basically, when it comes to the impressions that you get on YouTube, one thing that can really help is making sure that you give a lot of information about the video. So for example, you can publish a short just by itself with a title, and it can just go to the moon. However, if you make a short, you put a title in there, you put a very lengthy description describing what's happening in the video, things like that, so the system can get more context faster to help it better understand who to show the content to. That can help you get more impressions. Next up on the list here, we've got Mishan Dinyes. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I apologize if not. Says, I'm at 10,000 and I don't have a shopping tab listed to add my store on YouTube page. Is there something that I need to do? Yeah, you should have that. You should have that option in there. So if you just recently crossed 10, then in that case, it might take a little bit of time to show up. But if you've been at 10K for a while or over 10K for a while, that should be in there. You might want to reach out to YouTube support. Mr. Fulton Mraz says, can I put music videos on Streamyards? So yeah, I actually have a music video that I play from the actual video upload part inside of Streamyard as a regular basis in my live streams when I take a break. So absolutely you can. But in terms of live streaming it, you can stream pre-recorded videos through Streamyard, which would allow you to do that. Let's see here, looking for more. I also dislike that it takes over 4 hours to be able to edit the live. In some cases it's faster. Hey Ron, hope you're doing great, man. In some cases it's faster. Like if you have a really long live stream, like my 3-hour streams, they take a long time. My 5 to 10 minute streams that I do, those process really fast. Usually by the time I'm finished with the video and by the time I start optimizing it, it'll be finished usually by the time I'm done with that. Is this on iPhone as well? The shorts option, yes. The demo I was showing was on an iPhone. It is. I answered my own question. Okay, you got that one covered. Let's see here. What I love about today's stream is that it helped reiterate that I'm doing the right thing after I finish my streams. Nice, nice, nice. Codeations says that any tips for a channel with analytics that are stable, not increasing much or decreasing, doing daily videos, by the way. Absolutely, especially if you're doing daily videos. Here's what you want to do. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the grouping feature inside of YouTube or not, but the grouping feature is like a gold mine in terms of uncovering things that you're doing extremely right and things that you're doing, no, I won't say wrong, but just things that you're doing extremely right compared to everything else that you're doing. So what you want to start doing is you want to use the grouping feature to start comparing. You're putting out daily content. So you're going to be able to collect data really quick. So what you want to do, you want to start using the grouping feature. In order to find this, you go into your Creator Studio on a computer. It's only available on computers. You go in on a computer, go into your analytics at the channel level, not at a video level. Once you're in your analytics, at the very top right of the screen, you're going to see something that says advanced mode. Click on that. Then you want to click on your channel name. When you click on your channel name, there's going to be a dialog box that pops up. 3 tabs over, you're going to see one that says groups. I actually have a short on my channel that shows you where to find this really quick. But when you click into groups, then you're going to have an option down on the bottom to create group, and you click into that, and then you can start adding videos to that group. group. So what you want to do specifically in your case, let's say that since you're doing videos every day, you have videos that you put out about, I don't know what type of content that you're making, but I'm just going to, for the fun of it, let's just say that you're playing games, right, with your content. So if that was the case, then in that case, let's say some days you play Call of Duty, some days you play GTA, some days you play Fortnite, right? And so you're just like, hey, I'm mixing it up so that I don't go crazy. So in that particular case, what you can do is you can go and say, okay, I'm going to add my Call of Duty videos to this group. I'm going to add my Fortnite videos to another group, and I'm going to add my GTA videos to another group. And then what you can do is you can compare those groups against each other, and you can figure out which ones get more watch time, which ones generate more subscribers, which ones typically get more views as a content set, things like that. In addition to that, you can do this for, hey, these are all the thumbnails where I've put the focus image on the right-hand side. These are all the thumbnails where I put the focus image on the left-hand side. These are all the videos where I put numbers in the title. These are all the videos where I didn't put numbers in the title. And you can compare those, or, let's say my most recent 20 videos. These are all the ones I put numbers. These are the ones that I didn't. You can use it to experiment with a ton of things. So since you're putting out content at such a rapid pace, you should be using this feature religiously, because it will help you quickly identify what it is that people are responding to the most, so that you can lean more into that, or at least so you know that. So when you're putting your content strategy together and you're deciding exactly what it is that you're going to be uploading, people always respond to these in this way for this purpose. I need to make sure that I'm putting out that particular type of content every X amount of days, or, at least X amount of times per month or whatever. So yeah, without question. Let's see here. So I see Blessed Beginning Entertainment. So if you contact support at StreamYard.com, or if you go onto Facebook and look for Streamyard Community, then you can put your feature requests in there, because they definitely want all of that feedback, because they're always trying to make it better. Let's see here. Next up, looking, and make sure you put a Q in front of it so that I know that it is for, so that it's for me. So in front of your question, put a Q in front of your question. That's how I identified that it's for me. So really quick, the next one that we have here is from Nobu. I hope I'm saying that correctly. It says, what's the best way to get viewers to actually be on the live? Or is it best to promote outside of YouTube? Or is there something that triggers YouTube to push your live as it's happening? So activity definitely helps YouTube show it to more people. Data on your channel helps show it to more people. Topics of interest also helps them show it to more people. So for example, there's a YouTube channel called Emily Baker. She blew up her YouTube channel where she was getting like 1 million views a live stream, or almost 1 million views on almost every live stream she put out, because her topic was trending so hard, or she leaned into a topic that was trending so hard. And when it did get suggested on home pages, people were clicking on it like crazy. And because she's an excellent live streamer and she's able to hold people's attention, YouTube, that combination of things, it just took her channel to the moon, and she was able to just make her channel explode, make a ton of money, grow her influence, as a live streamer plus a lawyer, because that's her gig, but she's doing YouTube now because she makes more money, on YouTube than she does as a lawyer. So, those are the types of things that make it happen. But to get more viewers on your stream, I've got videos on the StreamYard channel about that you can watch, but just a quick, run through. 1, schedule in advance. 2, make sure that topically, that you are making a thumbnail for it and a title for it that makes sense for the target audience that you're trying to reach. So for example, if you're trying to grow your channel and get people to participate, for the growth side of it, not just as a, hey, I'm doing this in the community and this is just for the people that are, interacting in my community. If you want to use it as a way to, break through, so to speak, then what you want to make sure that you're doing is you want to make sure that your thumbnail and title are not things like, hey, come and hang out with me, or, hey, this is our crafting hangout, or anything like that. Instead, you want to make it an actual compelling title, an actual compelling thumbnail, make the subject matter, very focused on, something that you're going to be taking people through. When you start that live stream, you want to make sure that, well, that's to get people to show up, of course. But you also want to make sure that when you start that stream for the sake of the replay, that you come right in, you have a strong hook on it, so that when people come in, they know exactly what it is that they're going to get and what the purpose of the stream is and the value that they're going to get from it and so on. You want to make sure that you're doing all those things. But to get more people while you're actually live, schedule in advance and make sure you're packaging it up correctly for the audience that you're trying to reach. So to give a more clear picture of that, I have a video that I put out on the Streamyard channel. It might have been a live stream, I can't remember, but the content is something like mistakes that live streamers make. It's like X amount of mistakes that live streamers make on YouTube. Go look for that video, and I give a very clear example of the wrong way to package your content and the right way to package your content. Creator Classroom says, are they still rolling out the Create Shorts for all users because it's not on my videos yet for my Android phone? Yes. So right now it is available for iPhone. I think it's available on Android devices as well. But I know I just got it. It popped up on everything I would say a week and a half ago for me. And I know some people are still saying that they don't have it yet. So you're not alone in that. So, they're definitely still rolling out. Next up, what are the milestones for opening this stuff in studio mode, such as community, shopping, etc.? So for the community tab, you have to get 500 subscribers on your YouTube channel. You can open up the community tab. For the shopping, you can do that now at 1,000 subscribers as well. And you have to be in the partner program, though, for the shopping. So if you have 1,000 subscribers and let's say you got them from shorts, then that means that you're not in the partner program because those shorts don't count towards monetization right now. So because of that, then in that case, you have the subscriber requirement, but you don't have the watch time requirement, which means that you wouldn't have the feature yet. So you have to make sure that you qualify for both and that you apply for the partner program and you get approved for the partner program. Once you do that, then you'll have access to shopping and in some cases tagging as well, once everything grows. Let's see here. Hey, my pleasure. Roberto Blake in the house, my man. Hope that you are doing fantastic. Nice to see you in the stream today. Hey everybody, Roberto just put out a book recently. If you're not familiar with that, it's called Create Something Awesome. You can find it on Amazon. He's a bestseller over on Amazon from this book. He just released it last Monday. So not yesterday Monday, but the previous Monday. So Roberto Blake, he knows YouTube and the creator economy and everything about creating inside, out, and backwards. So make sure that you go hit Amazon and you check out that book if you want his insights on how to do all this stuff. So let's see here. I noticed I get more subscribers, and this is from Luna Sol Oracle. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Says, I notice I get more subscribers when I do live streams. How can I optimize that? So if you get more subscribers when you do live streams, then it could be the fact that you are engaging with your community during the live streams, and people appreciate that. That can end up working against you as well in the future, like as everything grows and gets more intense. Like me, I bleed subscribers on my Hangout live stream for my community, but I grow subscribers like crazy on my news segments. So you also have to look at the actual content as well, because some people see more value in one thing than they do the other. So you just have to make sure that you're giving them the value that they want, so that it makes sense for them. Excuse me. So that it makes sense for them to subscribe for to get more of that value.
If you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
Let's see here. So next up, we've got, how can I do that one game though? 67,000 subs, one game, 2 years now, how-tos, guides, tier list, news, updates. Okay, so this is a follow-up on your original question. Okay, so if you are doing the one game, then you would want to go after it topically. So of course, you can do the same thing with like your thumbnails. You can also break it down, like these are my how-tos, these are my guides, these are my tiers, this is my news, these are my updates, and so on. And you can see which one of those perform best. And the idea isn't to say like, hey, I'm just not going to do the other stuff ever again. It's to use that information to decide what people are, to figure out what people respond to the most, so that you can make sure that you are focusing on that, because that's what they're, that's what they're responding to. It's what they want. So because of that, even if you're just playing the one game, then you break it down by the specific offerings that you have within that particular game. Other things that you can do as well is if you do frame the games around different things, even if you're doing like a bunch of let's plays and that's all you're doing, then in that case, you would look at it from, okay, I'm framing this let's play around trying to accomplish a specific task, or I'm framing all these around trying to accomplish a specific task. These are all just like Hangout let's plays. Let's see which ones people respond to best. But you can use that grouping feature to collect tons of data to make really good decisions about the content that you're putting out. Like, for example, I'm using this right now because I introduced that news segment like I was talking about. It's a live stream that I do, and they're short, but they're doing awesome on my channel. So I did a comparison between using the grouping feature that I mentioned. I did a comparison between my 3-hour long live streams that I do and my short news segments. So one of them takes me 3 hours plus prep time, just to turn everything on and clean up and get everything ready. And then the other one takes me, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes because I collect the information over the course of the week and I'm already, updating myself in the information anyway. So it takes me about 30 minutes to like set up, get the thumbnail together, get the stream graphics together and all that. But that one, the subscribers are through the roof. The views are way better. The overall engagement is like everything about them is better. The only place that the other one wins is revenue generated from super chats. But some of the news streams are actually generating more money than those as a whole. But in addition to that, let's see here. Yeah, watch time and revenue generated from transactions. Let's see here. So what's an ideal length of time for videos? This is a great question. This is from two boys and their pops. So when it comes to an ideal time for content, it's as long as it needs to be, right? So I know it's not the answer that you want. I know that you're wanting an answer like, hey, videos that are 7 minutes typically do better. There was a study done, this is years ago, where they did identify that videos like around that 7 to 8 minute range, they typically got more activity. But keep in mind at that time, things were wildly different on YouTube. Plus, it was mostly large channels that were in that sample. But anyway, when it comes to the length of your video, what happens is when you start trying to artificially inflate the content of a video in order to make it longer so that you can get more ads on it or just so you can have a longer video, whatever. When you start trying to artificially inflate the video through just adding content to it for the sake of making it longer, then what you're essentially doing is you're putting filler content into it. And when you start using filler content, people stop responding to the video, and then you can actually hurt the overall retention of the video. Plus, percentage viewed is a factor when it comes to your content as well. So if you have a shorter video and more people are making it to the end of the video, that can actually help the video do better. So balancing out like how far can I get people through the content that I make, using that as like, hey, how long should I make my videos? Because if you can't get people past like 3 minutes, then it doesn't make any sense to make a 10-minute video, right? Just make them as long as they need to be. That's what YouTube recommends as well. Okay, looking for, hey, congratulations, bold finds. Nice work, cruising. Got some love for Roberto here in the chat. What's the best software for recording a game? So with games, most people are looking for 60 frames a second. For recording everything else, I would say Streamyard, but because they do have the 30 frames per second limitation on theirs, with that 60 frame per second that the gamers go for, it might not be the best solution for that. So in that particular case, you can use like OBS or something like that. But for anything else that's not 60 frames per second, you can do that all within Streamyard, or you could also use OBS as well. But since I'm here on the Streamyard channel, of course, I'm going to I do this on my channel too, and anytime I get the opportunity to recommend Streamyard, but you get what I'm saying. So let's see here. As long as it needs to be, I love that answer. Yeah. So just looking for any more questions here. When is a video too short? So that's a good question. So videos under 1 minute, and this was even before the short shelf came along. So in order for a video to be long enough to even get monetized, then it needed to be over a minute. However, shorter videos still did okay, even before they had the YouTube Shorts. But nowadays, they have the regular format content. If you make that under a minute, then because it's regular format, it's not going to show up in the short shelf. So if you are going to make something that's shorter than 60 seconds, 15 seconds to 60 seconds in that range, then in that case, make it vertical and then use the short shelf. Right now, there's a huge opportunity. Roberto Blake really quick says OBS. And I would say that we have a video capture card and record your hard drive. Here, what's he say here? Oh, I got to click on something else to see it here. OBS, and I would say have a video capture card and record your hard drive. And I would also say set your camera to 60 frames per second also. Yeah, all of that's super important. And it's going to be taxing on your computer too. That's another big difference in using StreamYard and OBS as an example is OBS while you're recording all that stuff, it's going to be really hard on your computer, especially if you're going high bit rate so you can get high quality and you're doing 60 frames per second. Streamyard, they're doing everything in the cloud. So, and they're actually catching you like midstream on the way to, whatever platform you're streaming to. Let's see here. Just looking for any more questions here. Okay, I think we are good. Oh, here we go. One more. Says, you mentioned sharing a live stream after the live stream. Is it also beneficial to share it before you stream as well? Yeah, if you're wanting to get more people coming in, if you have people following you on other platforms, then in that case, of course, sharing it with them so that they know that you're going live is definitely something that you want to do, because then that way you're just spreading awareness. Hey, I'm going to go live just so that the people that are interested can come and hang out, and the people that aren't interested, they'll just go right past it anyway. So I do want to let everybody know that if you do have any questions, especially if you're watching this on the replay, if you have any questions about any of the things that I talked about during the stream today, Streamyard has a Facebook group. If you look for Streamyard Community, you'll find it there. But in that particular Facebook group, you can go there. You can give them, feature ideas if there's something that you want them to do. You can ask any questions that you have about this stream or any of the content they have on the platform or their software. And when you do that, if you have a question for me and it's related to YouTube, just make sure you tag me, and I'll answer that when I see it. And really quick, we have one more question here. It says, every time I do a live stream, it says that it's not going to the cloud. Is this a premium feature? Yeah, I haven't seen that. So my assumption, it goes through the cloud. Like, it doesn't have a choice. If you're using StreamYard, like, it's going through the cloud. Like, it's not an optional thing with StreamYard. It's cloud-based software. So it's going to the cloud. Let's see here. Question. I've noticed that my audience is watching 1 to 2 minute landscape videos in those channels, in my game niche taking off. Here's the thing is, when it comes to the content that you're putting out, it's really easy to get that shiny object syndrome when you see another content creator start doing something and people are really responding to it, being like, oh, I got to go do that now. But coming up with your own stuff is a much better way to do it. And, using the grouping feature and experimentation, and using the grouping feature to help you experiment and understand the experiments that work and don't, is the best thing that you can do to be that, or to figure out that thing that's going to help you stand out. Because that other, landscaping videos, that's working for the other channels. That might not work for your audience and the people that YouTube is showing your content to. So just because you see other channels doing it and they're thriving doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work the same way for you. Like a great example of this is, and because I make, content that helps people with their YouTube channels and live streams. And somebody came into our space over the last, like a year and a half, and started making like really extremely edited videos to where they tell a story throughout the content and everything's shot in like a real interesting way. They're amazing to watch. Like, he's doing a fantastic job and just crushing it. However, that's his thing, right? So since that's his thing, that was his way of standing out. Like, I wouldn't make that type of content out of respect for him, right? But also out of not trying to blend in with him. Because, as with anything, when it comes to this kind of stuff, it's like, the more you try to do what other people do, the more invisible you become, because then you're just doing what everybody else is doing. And then everybody's got a million options where they can find that particular thing. But through experimentation and through, figuring out, how the data looks from your experimentation through the grouping feature that I was showing you, that's how you uncover new things that will help people connect more to you, and that will help them remember you more and help you stand out more in the space that you're operating in. All right. So really quick, United Survivor says, I'm having problems figuring out how to upload clips into my lives. I'm looking for somebody that would sit with me and guide me through it step by step. I'm going to show you how to do it right now. So if you're a StreamYard user, this is all you have to do. I'm going to share my screen, so it's going to look a little bit crazy here when I do this, but I'm just going to show you how to do it right now, just because if you're a StreamYard user, this is just something that little bonus service. I actually made a video for somebody about this in the StreamYard Facebook group, showing them how to do this today. So all you have to do, and we're going to be looking over on this side of the screen. I'm just going to go full screen for this really quick. And I'm going to stretch this out here just a little bit more. Okay, so you want to go to the far right of the screen. I just stretched it too far. And then you want to click under brand. Once you click under brand, scroll down, and then you see where it says video clips right here. Right here, you can add the clips, any clips that you want to play. So I upload like music videos into here, you know, for when I'm taking breaks, stuff like that. But you upload those into here. If you have images that you want to put in, then you can upload those in as overlays. If you want the overlay to be transparent, like this particular one you see there, then in that case, you want to make sure that you upload a transparent PNG file, and then that way you'll be able to directly see through it. Yes, I was talking about Fembooth. Yeah, he's doing fantastic right now. Really, really nice. You know, really well done. Really well done content. He's crushing it. Let's see here. So I think that has us covered. So really quick, Justina's Country Kitchen. I just want to address this one really quick. It says, thanks for the info. I'm still nervous about doing one. I've had a few people ask me when I'm going to do one. So if you mean live streams. So one thing that I recommend, and I know it's easy, you know, for me to say this versus, you know, how you feel right now. But one thing that I recommend is that you do just try it once. But one thing that I also want to remind you of is that your first live stream, when you go live, it doesn't have to stay live on the internet. You can unlist it or delete it once it's finished. In addition to that, you don't even have to go live. You don't even have to go live publicly first. So on YouTube, you can set your live stream as unlisted, and then you can still go live. You can practice your live stream, and you can see exactly, you know, how you're gonna run the show. In addition to that, you can do that here in Streamyard too. You can do it through a free account even, to where you can go in and instead of setting it up to go live, they have an option for record only. So you click into the record only option, and instead of, like, you don't even have to click record. You can just see your live stream in there. You can see how things are set up, but you can use that to practice going live as well. And I really encourage you to do that, a little bit of practice first. If you're not somebody that's like, hey, I'm just going to jump in and figure it out, I encourage you to do that practice first so that you can get more familiar with the tech, because that'll help you just be more comfortable when you start going live. In addition to that, it's going to also help you look or figure out where your fail points might be in your stream. The only downside is you're not going to have any chat. You're not going to have anybody to interact with, but that's okay. It's actually a bonus, because what's that's going to do is that's going to train you to stream when nobody's watching. And when you first go live, it's possible that you might not have anybody show up in your live stream. The first live stream that I ever did on my channel, I had 2 people come through it. I was ecstatic. I had 2 people come through it. Now, of course, you know, things are different because I'm further along in the process. But, you know, when I was first getting started, that very first live stream, 2 people. And I was like, woo, right? I got 2 people. I was like, oh my gosh, somebody's in here. Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. You know, I like, you know, freaked out, you know, about it. It was kind of ridiculous, if I'm honest. But, you know, like, you don't have to go live publicly, and just remember that, you know, that it can be taken down. But another thing that is different going live versus going practice live is when you're practice live, and this is going to sound weird, but once you do it, you'll know what I mean, is when you practice live, in your brain, you know that you can stop at any moment. You know that you can be like, you know what, that sounded bad. And you'll just like stop, and then you'll be like, you know what, maybe it'd be better to say it this way, and you'll interrupt yourself. But when you're live and you're actually doing the thing, your brain and you know that people are watching or could be watching. And when that happens in your brain, you're like, okay, I'm keeping this thing going. I'm just keeping it going and keeping it going. So I have videos here on the Streamyard channel about how to get started with live streaming. They've actually got a bunch of content, you know, to help new live streamers. So definitely make sure that you check that out. By the time you're finished watching some of those videos, you'll be a lot more comfortable and a lot more ready to go. Brad, Magic Flying Potato in the house. What's up, my man? Hope you're doing awesome. Will StreamYard be adding the ability to go live to TikTok anytime soon? I'm not sure. However, one thing that you can do is go into their Facebook group and let them know that you are, or just go to support@streamyard.com. Let them know that you're looking for that feature so they can know that, you know, more and more and more people are wanting it. I think they're working on it, but I don't know for sure. I know that as long as I'm remembering correctly, it's come up in conversations, but I'm not 100% sure. All right. So we've been going for like an hour and 11 minutes. So I'm going to answer just a few more questions here before we head off. The first one here saying that I noticed that people find my videos on YouTube through YouTube search at 51% and suggested down to 2%. How do I increase suggested? So if people and this is one of the reasons why your traffic is super stable, by the way, just as a heads up. So YouTube search traffic is just historically extremely stable, because once you have some videos out, they've got good placements and they just continue to drive traffic, as long as the search volume is high enough, extremely stable. What you need right now is, if you're getting a 2% in suggested, I'm going to guess that your browse is probably a little bit lower as well, considering that search is dominating your traffic sources. So what you need to work on right now is helping people identify your content more from the outside. So your titles and your thumbnails, that's what you got to work on. And of course the topics, right? The actual topics themselves, because those are also part of the things that impact your click-through rate. But if you are, really low in suggested, you're really low in browse, but you're getting, a decent amount of traffic from search, that means that when people are looking for your content, somebody logs onto YouTube and they're like, hey, I'm looking for this type of video. Your video shows up, you're able to get them to click there because they're looking for it. The fail point that you're having right now is that when YouTube just randomly shows it to somebody on the platform that they think is going to be a good fit for that video, you can't get those people to respond well. So what you have to do is you have to start working on how you're packaging up your content, because the difference is when somebody's looking for your content, it's easy to get them to click because they're looking for your video. The other side of that is when you're trying to use the recommendation features to get traffic, is if somebody logs onto YouTube, you have to be, let's say they log on to participate in this live stream or to watch one of my videos or the videos of somebody else here in the stream, or just, one of their other content creators they watch. YouTube's just throwing a ton of content at them. So you have to be able to get them to respond in that moment when they were logging onto YouTube just for some entertainment or to watch somebody else's content or whatever. You have to grab their attention and pull them into your content. So you have to work on your packaging, which is your topic, title, and thumbnail. So again, like I mentioned earlier in the stream when I was talking about thumbnails, if you weren't here for that, make sure you go through that part, because I was talking about some things to focus on when it comes to your thumbnails. But I'll just do a quick recap. Imagery. Make sure that here's the exercise that you want to run through for this one if you're trying to get more recommendation features anywhere. One, look at your thumbnail and identify, what is it that I'm focusing on in this thumbnail? What's the one thing in this thumbnail that's going to help my audience that I'm trying to reach, that are into, what it is that I'm doing, that's going to help them identify that this content is about something that they care about, so that they'll at least stop and take a moment to register it, because they can see it's about something they care about. So define that particular thing. Next, define, okay, if this helps them identify it, is there anything about this thumbnail that would actually cause them to click on it? If the answer is no, then just think about it for a little bit. Is there anything that I could do to make this thumbnail more compelling where they would click on this without even having much, additional context to it? If you can't come up with anything, no big deal. You have your title. So your thumbnail helps them identify that it's something they care about. Your title, that's where you have to look at that and you have to say, okay, with my title, what type of information does this give this person that this is going to just randomly show up on a homepage or next to other videos? What type of information do I have here? And is the information that would matter to them as close to the front of the title as possible, because YouTube cuts off titles. So an example I like to give for this one is, let's say that you had a title that was, and I just use this particular example, and I know you're doing gaming content, but let's say the example is, we'll do it for gaming. 8 things you never knew you didn't know, and I'm just being kind of ridiculous just to make this long. 8 things you didn't know that you needed to know about Grand Theft Auto, right? Then you have Grand Theft Auto there at the very end. But the thing that the people care about that you're trying to reach is Grand Theft Auto. So because of that, you would do 8 things about Grand Theft Auto that you didn't think that you need to know that you didn't think you needed to know, or whatever the thing is. So then that way you're actually front loading the keyword of Grand Theft Auto to help people identify that it's about Grand Theft Auto, which is something that they care about, right? So when it comes to the structure of your titles, where you put things is really important, especially on YouTube, because in suggested videos, they can get cut off. So you have to make sure that you are, putting that thing that's the most important to the viewer as close to the front of the title as possible. Hope that made sense. All right, everybody, have a fantastic rest of your week. Thank you so much for hanging out here. If you have any questions about anything that's going on here, make sure that you let us know in the Facebook group or in the comments of this live stream. And have a great week. I live stream here the last Tuesday of every single month, so make sure that you swing in for the next one as well. And I will see you next time. Hit the like button on the way out.